Got your back, Jack.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Nothing But Skills, and today I'm bringing you guys another division video. Today's video, it's one of the funnest builds to run in the division right now if you don't want to run the meta. It still can hang with some of the bigger builds like Striker, Pred, Nomad. Will it beat them 100% of the time? No. Can you still fight them if you're a good PvP player? Yes. I enjoy this build, and the way I have it is not the 6-piece. I'm running a 5-piece. We'll break down the build in just a second, but before we do, guys, remember, if you want to see me use any of my builds live, I always cycle through all my builds during my stream. So if you guys want to watch me live on Twitch, that's twitch.tv/nothingbutsskillsgaming, and that's where you can watch me play all my builds. I cycle through all of them throughout the stream, and recently I've been playing with this Alpha Bridge. A lot of people have been asking me about this build. I figured, you know what, everybody likes my builds. Let me put this one out there. Remember, this is just a template, and hopefully you guys can build off of that template. Some of you guys might still like to run the 6-piece. I feel that the 5-piece is a little bit better because that way you can still run it with a group. You still have your recovery link or your survival link, whatever one you want to run. You still can use it and be part of the team, and if you go down, they can pick you up. That's why I think the 5-piece is more practical for group play. If you want to run the 6-piece, you can. I'll show you what you need to do to change that, but let's break down this build, guys. So the first thing you know is my primary firepower is 498,000. That's firearms of 7,100. My toughness is 449,000. That's stamina of 5,800. And my skill power is 97,000. That's electronics of 2,900. Now I'm running a 5-piece with the Bear's Bulletproof Vest. And the reason why I chose the Bear's Bulletproof Vest is no skills on cooldown increases your skill power by 10%. 1 skill on cooldown increases your damage by 5%. And 2 skills on cooldown increases your armor by 10%. So I'm trying to take advantage of that extra 5% damage every time I hit my booster shot. So right when I go into battle, as long as I only have 1 skill on cooldown, I'll get that additional 5% extra damage, and that's when you really start to melt some players. Now what the Alpha Bridge 5-piece does for me is it's going to give me 100% health regen once I'm out of combat. I'm going to get that set bonus 3 of 5% weapon damage. Set bonus 4 is going to let me unlock the 4th talent on my other weapon. If your primary and secondary weapon are the same category, they share the free talent. All talent requirements are ignored by the weapon talents, and that's what's really cool about this build. You unlock all the weapon talents no matter what gun you're running, and then you get that free talent from your secondary. So you just have to run 2 SMGs or 2 assault rifles, and the 3rd free talent on the second weapon will unlock for both weapons. Set bonus 5 is going to give you an additional 25% health regen, so that's a total of 125% health regen when you're not in combat, and then you'll also get an additional 10% weapon damage, so that's a total of 15% weapon damage. Plus, if I pop my booster shot and then I have 1 skill on cooldown, I get the extra 5% damage, so that's a lot of damage output from this build. That's why this build has a lot of burst damage, and if you could drop your player before he has time to drop you, a lot of times you can kill those strikers, you can kill those predator mark, and you can even make that Nomad proc. You need to back up after you make him proc, of course, and then redrop them. So the way I have this set up is I'm running the Bear's Bulletproof Vest. It's rolled firearms. The major attribute are health, 11% exotic damage resilience, and then I'm running a minor attribute of ammo capacity. For the mods, I'm running stamina mods with 1% critical hit chance. For the mask, it's rolled stamina. It has major attribute of 4% critical hit chance, minor attribute of burn resistance. For the mods, I'm running firearm mods with 1% critical hit chance. For the knee pads, they're rolled stamina. The major attribute is critical hit damage. The minor attribute is damage to elites, bleed resistance, and blind death resistance. For the mods, I'm running firearm mods with 1% critical hit chance, and then performance mods with 6% first aid self-heal. For the backpack, it's rolled firearms. The major attribute is 8% critical hit damage, and then the minor attribute is 55% ammo capacity. So I'm stacking a lot of critical hit damage. So I'm going with stacking a lot of critical hit chance and a lot of critical hit damage. So instead of rolling health on my backpack and health on my knee pads, I went a little bit more squishier route, and I'm running critical hit damage. For the mods, I'm running firearm mods with 1% critical hit chance, and then performance mod with 6% first aid self-heal. For the gloves, the rolled firearms firearms, the major attribute is critical hit chance, SMG damage, and critical hit damage. Running as much critical hit chance on this build as possible, and then as much critical hit damage as possible. For the holster, the major attribute is critical hit chance, and then for the mods, I'm running a performance mod with first aid self-heal. For the weapons, which I feel like really make this build and make it where you can actually play this build at an effective level, is you run the house. If you guys don't have it, I would really look for it. If you don't have the house, it's going to be a little bit harder to run an MP5 ST or Navy MP5, or even run 2 assault rifles. I feel that the damage you get from the house helps you out a little bit with this build. That's why I run the house as my primary, and I never really switch in my secondary. I'm not even modding it because I don't plan to switch to it. I'm only using it for the 4th talent. My house has 23% critical hit chance. The base damage is 24.4k. The talents are deadly. Critical hit damage is increased by 15%. Responsive damage is increased by 10% when closer than 10 meters to the target. And then card counter. 1/2 of the magazine does 20% increased damage. The half which deals increased damage flips after 15 seconds or when the magazine is empty. And then I'm unlocking the free talent on my secondary, which is competent. Weapon damage is increased by 10% for 15 seconds after using the skill. Now, if you look on my MP5 ST, the 3rd talent is competent. Now, the way I have this modded is I'm running a pro red dot sight with 18% critical hit damage, 6% headshot damage, and 2.5 critical hit chance. A loud vent break with 18% critical hit damage, 6% headshot damage, and 3% critical hit chance. A small grip with 19% critical hit damage, 4.5 reload speed, and 4.5 optimal range. And then, of course, an extended magazine with 118% magazine size, 3% critical hit chance, and 5.6 rate of fire. For the talents, you guys know how I run my skills. It's the same with all my PvP builds. A booster shot and then an immune box. My booster shot's going to heal me for 54,000. This is going to come back every 50 seconds. This is going to temporarily increase my damage and my damage resistance for the effective targets in addition to the normal healing effect. Now, I always pop my booster shot right before I go into battle. So not only am I going to get the increased damage and then the damage resistance, I'm also going to get the 5% extra damage because of the Barrett's Bulletproof Vest. That's why when you run the booster shot with this build and you pop it right before you go into battle, that's a lot of damage, and you should be melting through your players, and you should be melting through the other agents. For my heal, I run the immune box. I like having an immune box because a lot of people run shock turrets. I can drop it down, fight a little bit, explode it if I need to. It gives me time to shoot the shock turret and then continue on. This is going to come back every 36 seconds, and then of course it's going to heal me. And then since I don't have a lot of survivability, I like running a recovery link. It's like my failsafe. I can pop it to give me that one last extra heal, and hopefully I can drop the player or drop the players if I can get my shots on them. Now for the talent, since this is more a team player build and not a solo player build, because if I was going to run this solo, I would run the 6-piece, and I'll show you how to do that. Since this, most of the time you'll be running it in last stand or skirmish or in a group in the dark zone, I run triage healer ally with a skill to reduce skill cooldowns by 15%. I run critical save, use a make hit during low health to increase damage resistance by 20% for 10 seconds. I run combat medic. Everybody should be running this in PvP. If you're running this, you're helping out your teammates more than you know, because every time I'm in battle, if I stick next to my teammates and they're getting hit, if they pop their med kit, we're all going to survive. And if I pop my med kit, I'm helping them out too. You use the med kit in your allies to heal group members and proxies within 20 meters by 40%. And then I love running strike back. It helps my skills come back faster, reach low health to reduce active skill cooldowns by 20%. Now, if I was going to run this build by myself and not really in a group, you could probably run the 6-piece and be a lot better off. I take off the Barrett's Bulletproof Vest, and I would just run an Alpha Bridge chest. Pretty much the same rolls. It's rolled firearms, it has health, it has exotic damage resilience, and it has ammo capacity. And I will use the same exact mods, stamina mods with 1% critical hit chance. If you want to run this solo, you can run it with the Alpha Bridge chest piece, roll it health, exotic damage resilience, and the ammo capacity, and you'll be perfectly fine. And in case you guys don't know what the 6-piece does, it rotates your signature skills. So if you get a kill and it happens to be on tack link, you will pop a mini tack link. If you're running 7,200 firearms, 5,300 stamina, and 2,900 electronics, your tack link will last about 6 to 7 seconds. So it's still pretty good. If we get into the character, you're going to see my critical hit chance is 50%. And if anybody on my team happens to have a pulse, I'm going to be maxed out at 60%. My critical hit damage is at 129%. My headshot damage is 62%. My damage to elites is 15%, and that's just because I don't have really good rolls on my knee pads. My knee pads are rolled for PvE more than PvP. If I had the perfect knee pads, you guys know how I like to do it. Burn resistance, shock resistance, and bleed resistance. My toughness is 449,000. My max health is 303,000. My armor mitigation is 32.5%. It's almost maxed out at 33%. I just need to fully optimize this a little bit more. I just want to get better knee pads that are more focused on PvP. My exotic damage resilience is 11%, which is a little low. I like having around 20% to 24%, especially when you have a lot of people running Predator's Mark out there. My bleed resistance is pretty good at 30%. And remember, bleed resistance does not affect Predator's Mark bleed. It does reduce the ticks. It doesn't affect the damage. Exotic damage resilience lowers the damage of Predator's Mark, but bleed resistance reduces the ticks. Blind death resistance is 32%. Burn resistance is 17%. And that's pretty much it, guys. This is my Alpha Bridge build that I like to run in PvP. A lot of you guys who watch my stream on twitch.tv/nothingbutsKillsgaming, you guys know that I run this build a lot and you guys have been asking me for it. So hopefully this kind of clarifies how I like running my Alpha Bridge. If you still want to run it as a 6-piece, you can. I showed you in the video. Personally, I prefer running a 5-piece with a Bear's Bulletproof vest. I can still run this in a group and be somewhat effective. It's not the best PvP build, but I think it's up there in the top 4. You have Striker, Nomad, and Pred, which are kind of tied right there. And then I think Alpha Bridge would be number 4 if you had to break it down. You have Deadeye as a sniper, but it's kind of only good for one thing, for sniping. I mean, there's a lot of other builds you can run. You have Final Measure, a really good support PvP build. If you want something that has a lot of damage, this would be your next best bet. The amount of damage that you can output because of the Bear's Bulletproof vest, the 5-piece Alpha Bridge, running the certain talents on your weapons makes this build one of the elite builds. Now, is it the best one? I can't really say that, guys, but I have a lot of fun with it. So if you have any questions on this build, use the comment section down below. Remember, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up. If you guys are new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and double tap that notification bell right next to the subscribe button, because a lot of times, a lot of you guys subscribe, but you guys don't get notified because the way YouTube works. So turn on the notification bell if you guys haven't already. Remember, if you don't see me in Last Stand, if you don't see me in Skirmish, if you don't see me in the Dark Zone, it's only a matter of time. Nothing but skills out.